welcome to episode 29 of the PT Performance Podcast, Evolution. I've got my man David from Goliath Performance down there in the western suburbs of Sydney. David is a good mate. We've been working together now for a couple of years. Probably the midst of the initial COVID shutdown, I think Dave reached out and said, let's do some work. So David, why don't you introduce yourself, mate? Give the people a bit of a background on who is David Granata and what is Goliath Performance? Where'd it come from?
Yeah, sweet. So, hey guys, my name is David. So I'm just been a PT for about 5 years myself. Probably just a bit of background on myself. I am right into boxing as an amateur fighter, so I sort of take a lot away from that. But as a PT, I did start off in a commercial gym. I sort of bounced around a few gyms here and there, so had quite a few ups and downs actually through those periods. Then came Goliath Performance. Sort of got born out of actually the first lockdown that actually happened down here in Sydney. And just out of that, I was able to transition straight out of a gym straight into mobile personal training. So I jumped on board with that. And that's where it sort of just kicked off. Actually, from the first lockdown, I was able to just jump on the opportunity and just get straight into it. With Goliath Performance, it's sort of like catered towards just the general population, but we do just specialize on the boxing and strength training, obviously with the workouts, but we're pretty big on the lifestyle and habit training as well with the clients. And it's been pretty good. It's been a good ride so far. So it's probably coming up to 2 years this August. And Chris has been a big part of that as well, especially from the start, just kicking off, having the coaching, mental support each week just through Zoom as well. It's been a big part of it too. So it's all sort of coming together. Just 2 weeks ago, we've jumped up to Brisbane. So we got our first PT kicked off there. He's doing really well at the moment. And yeah, it's been pretty good.
Awesome, man. And it's been great being a part of it and, watching from the sidelines, so to speak, and being a part of your growth. But mate, let's wind it back a little bit and talk about the evolution, right, of your career and where it came from. You said you started out in a commercial gym. I don't care about who it is. It doesn't matter who you've been, but tell me some of the challenges you had as a young PT kicking off in a commercial gym. How many PTs were at the one you were at?
So first PT gym I was at, a commercial gym I was at, was Jets Fitness here in Maryland. It was an extremely small sort of gym, had probably just over 1,000 members in it. I was the only PT when I actually went there. There was a few PTs before me. It was a really good experience, like curve, especially at the start. I had no idea what I was doing. I just went straight into the deep end, learning a lot about obviously sales, business, and the systems and that. But I sort of took who I was with there, went straight to the bigger option, which was Fitness First in Parramatta. And that's where there was over, I think it was around 20 PTs in that gym. Yeah. Probably close to over 10,000 members. It was 5-story gym. The biggest and the best, huge in Parramatta. So that was the next step that I took from there. And that's definitely where I experienced a lot of challenges, a lot of fuck ups from my end. So there was a lot of ups and downs going just from the experience, I guess.
What were some of those? The listeners we get and the viewers we get on this one is usually people in their first 1 to 5 years of being a personal trainer. Obviously, this is the evolution of the original series, which was how to make it through the first 12 months as a commercial gym personal trainer. Which is evergreen content, but share with some of those guys and girls that are listening and say, well, look, what were some of those fuck ups? What were some of those challenges you faced?
Definitely just getting obviously a stable client base. So I didn't start off as an employee. There's 2 options there. So I went straight into as a subcontractor. And obviously just getting your own client base to obviously support yourself and just to keep growing from there. That was definitely the hardest part to start off with. Yeah. But once you sort of got yourself on track with what you needed to do each day, especially the selling, things did get a lot smoother. For me, it was just basically making phone calls. So I just made like so many phone calls. I gave probably over, I think it was 250 free complimentary sessions. Yeah. Throughout like the first year I was there. So I was just giving them out, just getting in front of as many people as I can.
What's that on average? About 5 free sessions a week over a year, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way, good way to break it down, Chris. So yeah, it's pretty much those numbers there. I was literally just 3 sessions, just getting myself in front of people. The classes, I did a TRX class the whole time I was there. Probably one of the best things I probably did while I was there, actually, just doing something different.
Yeah.
that I've noticed probably some of the other PTs weren't too open about offering their time.
Yep.
So I think that was the biggest part, the biggest learning curve, the positive side that I got from that. The other side of that was obviously working with different PTs, different people. Definitely didn't work well for me in that sort of environment. So
Yep.
that sort of was something I didn't see myself staying there long enough. So I stayed there for probably a year and then just transitioned out of that and looked elsewhere.
Yeah. Mate, you hit on a couple of good things there. We just talked about this before we started the recording today about TRX and how it's good for complete newbies to complete advanced athletes if you know how to use it. And for those that know what I'm about, I'm big on the potential for growth that group fitness offers. You know, traditionally, and I'm one of them. Traditionally, PTs look at group fitness as that's aerobics, that's Les Mills, that's choreographed exercise. That you don't have to be a coach, you don't have to be a practitioner, you don't have to think too much. You just deliver a class. But when you realize, especially if you've got the ability to freestyle or to create your own small team training or group fitness, whatever you want to call it, there's loads of potential for lead generation and for brand development there because, you know, the people that are attending classes usually have justified to themselves that they don't need a PT, but they also don't want to do it themselves. So they can turn up to a class and get coached and what have you. And I know with the EMF that I'm with now, majority of our classes are run by our actual personal trainers for the same reason. You're getting coached by a qualified industry professional that wants more out of you than learning choreographed moves to a set soundtrack. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
so you would have picked up on something back there, especially in an environment like a Fitness First, where a lot of the PTs would have been, I believe. There's we had one last week, Cole, who understood the difference and really took on that group fitness mentality in his boot camps and turned it into something fucking sensational, which is great. A lot of PTs miss a great opportunity by not doing classes. So you did that, and you found that was a good way to sharpen your tools and get better at delivering classes and being around different people and showing them a bit about what you're about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like with my coaching style, I prefer probably small groups, like especially partners. I think everyone's got that rapport. The juices are flowing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Although probably my greatest strength is one-on-one. So giving someone that full attention, I've got the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
When it comes to group classes, like I'm absolutely hopeless. It's definitely my weakness. I need to sort of work on that. But I was able to obviously develop myself, my own voice. I think that's probably the biggest one. A lot of PTs starting out, they don't actually have their own voice to actually project the presence. It's not about, just talking to someone face to face. Like obviously you got to be like a coaching voice. You got to really bat out your voice, really get people to actually listen to you, take commands, or, have
you make a good
nice,
point.
strong presence.
That is a great point, because a lot of the PTs kicking off, the ones that will listen to this and the ones that I work with, they know that they're passionate about training. They've got a good understanding of the body and training modalities, but they're not confident in delivering it to people. So if you're not confident in delivering it to a group of people, you're probably going to have trouble with one-on-one, and vice versa. If you're not that good with one, you're definitely going to have trouble with a group. As you see, I've got the shirt on today. It's the develop discipline to earn the confidence. So if you want to be good in a class, what should you do? More classes. If you want to be great in a one-on-one, what do you need to do? More one-on-ones. The more you do and apply that discipline to be good at it, then you earn the ability to say, now I'm confident in it because I've put in the work. And at that point, there's where you start to achieve some level of success, right? So you went from Fitness First, and then you decided, look, man, I love the combat sports. There's an opportunity at another gym, and you made the move?
Yeah, so from there, I actually bounced around a few gyms as an employee. I just wanted to experience it as an employee. And let me tell you, I just got knocked back from each and every single opportunity I stepped into. Just not the right place for me.
Yep.
Most of the time, they just said, from my experience, I'll be more suitable to just do my own thing.
Let me pause you there for a minute, dude.
Yeah.
And we've had this chat over the time. And a lot of PTs have this moment where they want to become an employee. Looking back now, why do you think you wanted to become an employee at that time? Honestly and critically thinking, why did you want to become an employee as a personal trainer back then?
Mainly because I just wanted to experience, how it actually is to run a successful business, how it is to obviously have people together all at the same time. There's so many awesome gyms out there, especially in my area out here. So I just wanted to see what it's like to actually just be a part of that.
Yep. You'll have to
I
have the
never,
stress of running your own business, generating your own leads. I guess you just wanted to execute your passion without the stress of running a business.
absolutely, yeah, and just get that experience, just see what that was like. I guess with other passionate, successful trainers out there.
Yep.
They obviously have that going.
How do you think Goliath Performance would have developed if you'd landed an employee position as a trainer?
I would have just been watered down. I would have just been just like everyone else. So Goliath Performance is different.
Yeah.
I'm very different. And that's pretty much it. So I tell like everyone, like, even though it is personal training, I don't do personal training. I don't do fitness. I do boxing, strength training, and lifestyle. That's what I stick to. That's what I know.
Yep.
And it's completely different to whatever else is out there. So I think that's the best and the thing that I've actually created, and that's what I'm sticking to. And that's what sort of separates me if they're going to compare me with anyone else, or if they know what I'm about. That's pretty much it. That's the niche that I deal with, is just boxing, strength training, and also helping someone's lifestyle. And that's what the difference would have been if I did become an employee. I would have just been like every other PT.
Yeah, counting reps, counting sets, delivering a program that someone else designed.
So it was awesome. That never happens. I got pushed back quite a few times. The only thing that did happen at the end of that, I went to my last gym just up here in Wetherill Park. So it's UFC gym in Wetherill Park, the first UFC apparently gym in all of Australia, one of the biggest ones too.
Yep.
I was only there for about 2 weeks, and basically I thought my boxing, my passion for that, my experience, everything I was doing would line up for it. And it was furthest from the truth. And I got told to my face that definitely not a go for me to obviously stick around. So I left there, and straight from there, the first lockdown kicked in here in Sydney. And it was an absolute blessing, perfect timing. I just jumped on to mobile personal training, and it just sort of kicked off from there.
It's gone from there rapidly. It's been a great ride watching. I mean, you've gone from a UFC commercial gym, a combination of rejection but also probably revelation that it wasn't for you.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially that time I did leave UFC gym. I remember the manager came up to me, shook my hand. At least he'd done that, but he said to me, you've been absolutely one of the worst PTs to actually walk into the gym. Big mistake signing you up, this and that. So I was like, awesome. I stepped outside and I was like, I'm never going to turn to someone else to be offered a position or work under anyone else. I'm going to just go out there, create something new, something different.
Mate, and I've known you now for 2 years. We've been on the Zoom calls almost every week. A couple of blocks in there in amongst it without these calls, but I think we've done 4 or 5 rounds of 10 weeks in the last 2 years. So fair to say I've spent a fair bit of time with you. And I don't even know who that person was, mate, but whoever that manager is needs to go run themselves through a brick wall, because as far as being a good personal trainer, if he felt that you're not one, I don't know what he's after, my man, because you ooze everything that is about a personal trainer. You really genuinely give a shit about your clients. You're very savvy at programming. Bro, I've heard times we've had Zoom calls where you've been in traffic trying to get to the other side of the suburb or the next suburb over to get to your client on time, rain, hail, or shine. You've coached other PTs up to send them on their way. Like that particular human, man, I hope you understand, I'm pretty sure you do, that he was clearly talking out his ass, because I don't know what he was thinking when he said you're not a good PT or you're the worst one, because you're up there with one of the hardest. I put this on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago. You're one of the hardest working personal trainers I know, and the success is definitely showing for it. So I hope you took that departure comment from him as the fire under you to make sure that you never have to rely on that again, and you can prove to the world that you're a fucking sensational coach.
I appreciate all that, Chris. Yeah, I really appreciate those words you said. But definitely, so I feel like that individual sort of like, I knew the type of person he was already. And I was already sort of showing him that back to him. As soon as I left, he was pretty much gone anyway. There was a new manager.
I was about to ask, is he even still there in that industry? Yeah.
He was already gone. But that's when a lot of things stopped and changed, especially down here in Sydney. So there's a few changes happening all around, especially the fitness industry. But it was all a learning curve. It was all pretty much, if it's positive and negative, just take it away, keep pushing forward.
Yep.
So it was all good, and definitely made me see what I needed to do to take the next step forward to keep going.
Yeah. So I remember when we started working, you guys could still do outdoor sessions and you could still train people. I can't remember if you were able to do one-on-ones in your house, but I remember you doing still the outdoor sessions, at which point obviously winter rolled around and you had to come up with some other solutions, and you're doing sessions in this. If you guys can have a look, Dave's in his downstairs sort of garage setup, and it's a great setup. You can see a glimpse of it there, but it's got pretty much everything you need. And then we started to talk about the restrictions were even tighter. You weren't allowed, to coach people outdoors, and you weren't able to go to their house. They couldn't come to you. So we started to pivot again, and then looked at, okay, well, how do we deliver Zoom coaching, whether that's one-to-one or whether that's small team training or semi-private in a Zoom setting? And tell us about that, man. How was that for you when you first kicked that off?
Yeah, it was actually awesome. Something I've always wanted to do, virtual personal training plus the online aspect as well. So we use TrueCoach, our personal training app, one of the best ones out there. And basically, it happened during then. So definitely the winter period where the first lockdown happens, we weren't allowed. We're very restricted, as Minnie has pointed out.
You guys had helicopters hovering above you, telling people to go inside on some days, eh?
Yeah, chasing us around. So that was good fun. Still do around here in Rothwell Park. Doesn't stop, but it's good. But anyways, in winter it was quite cold. Like the first session usually about 5:30 a.m. It's usually nice to be in someone's garage. They usually have a heater on. Everyone's inside doing the session. We weren't allowed to actually physically enter their place anymore, so we had to do it outside in the garage in the cold, and it was extremely uncomfortable for, I guess, everyone involved whilst doing that. So most of the time we did transition to doing the virtual sessions as we're doing it here now. But it was actually during the second lockdown where we went all out. We started doing virtual classes as well.
Yeah.
And that's where things really picked up, I guess. That's when I had my first actual employee under me. I was able to keep him on board as well. He's doing the classes as we sort of kept going.
Yep.
And it was awesome. It was actually quite good. Everyone's pretty happy with the service. Obviously, the quality. The only feedback I get myself from doing virtual personal training, if anyone else is sort of considering it, that it's actually better than in person. The sessions are just like straight off the bat, straight into it. All that small talk is very minimalized. It's pretty much you're just giving your full attention for whatever time slot you have for that session. And that's pretty much it. So my virtual sessions are probably better sometimes than in person. So it also depends on the individual. Most people sort of prefer that. They're not as sort of into, I guess, having someone there with them. If they're happy to just jump on, they're more comfortable that way. It's just a click of the button, do the session, press it, and they're just straight up into their day. So you sort of can't beat the timing of that too.
Yeah, and let's dig on that for a while. There's a clear distinction to make here between virtual training and online training. And the distinction I roll with is that an online coach provides a program, maybe it's via an app like TrueCoach or Trainerize. I got some PTs I know and work with that use Google Sheets. Doesn't matter. There's the program, you go do it. Maybe I'll check in on your results and we'll give a bit of guidance, a bit of mentoring. And that's online coaching, right? Very little engagement between the coach and the trainer and the client, at the time of the workout. But then there's virtual. Now, I've always appreciated virtual because I've spent a lot of time on Zoom over the years. And a good colleague and good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago, he crushed it. He was overseas. He's an Australian bloke, but he was based overseas, and he would coach virtually athletes and clients to winning bodybuilding comps and powerlifting comps and athletic competitions, depends on what they were in, without ever being in the same room as them. And I remember him teaching me how he did that and showing me how he did it. And I was like, man, that's brilliant, because we have the technology. We've got super fast internet. We've got these great phones that the client can locate or position in a place that they're visible to the coach. And they don't need to see me. They just need to hear me. So as long as they got headphones in and I get a good vision of their surrounding space, then we can coach well. And that's something you do really well, is you've set up for one-on-one virtual coaching. You've done group virtual coaching as well. Tell us a bit about how you made that maneuver and some of the challenges at first, but also some of the obvious wins you get out of it.
So the group virtual personal training? Yeah, so the group one's awesome. It's something that obviously we've added more value for the clients as well. The main one is obviously being personal training as a mobile and remotely or virtually. The clients don't have any sort of community or any sort of relationship amongst each other, so they don't even know anyone else as part under us. So that's probably the best part, where we'll get everyone together at the same time, jump in our classes, and pretty much we just batted out from there. Recently, I try to do something where I try to do it from here in person, but also Zoom it virtually as well. So there was a few people on the other side of their phone while I was actually training people live in person here.
Cool.
It did work, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to continue on with that. But yeah, it was still pretty
that's
good.
Cool. Let's talk about that for a second. For those that are old enough to remember things like Tybo or good old, I think it used to be Good Morning Australia, that have the aerobics Oz style or something. So if you're familiar with that, what that looked like was in Dave's home garage, he might have 4 clients in the garage, and he's leading a group session. While he's leading that group session, there's a camera set up for the clients who can't make it. They can see the class and they can be mimicking or following the group session from their lounge room at home. Yeah. So basically, instead of having 4 people in the garage, you could potentially have an unlimited amount of clients participating in the team virtually from their physical location. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But the only difference was, Chris, I was actually talking always to the phone to the people at home.
Of course,
and the people behind me, they'll pretty much just be following. They knew what they needed to do. So
just like I mentioned, the Tybo and the Oz style,
exactly,
it was all
like that, yeah.
At the camera, at the audience,
like those diamonds sort of shaped to those aerobic ladies, and they were sort of just doing their own thing. So exactly like that.
Yeah, and again, that was born out of necessity with regards to the shutdowns and the winter weather at the time, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much how the classes kicked off. So yeah, I mean, I use only my phone. That's all I'm using, my iPhone 12 Pro.
Yep.
I might have another old crappier phone on the side for a timer, for a bit of music or anything else like that. But that's the only equipment, and just obviously my AirPods, and I've got a pretty decent tripod stand. I reckon just invest. That's a good investment.
Yeah, I agree.
And away you go. So it's that simple. Been using Zoom for obviously the software. Yep. But yeah, everyone's more open to it these days, I find. So as soon as you mention it, at the moment, obviously, I'm helping out people from all over Australia. So that's the best thing. Just started this week, first client in Western Australia.
Yeah.
2 hours behind us until we get 3 hours behind. So
now you're kind of getting a taste of the days I had to do your, not that I had to, I enjoyed doing it, but the days we did our Saturday morning session when daylight saving was on.
Oh yeah.
So for me, it was 7:30 in the morning. For you, it was 8:30. Now you're going to be doing the same. But look, the benefit for this, man, is that you can be everywhere at the same time. You know what I mean? Yeah. People missing that, but people also struggle for time. So this eliminates a massive chunk, especially if you're living in an area where a commute can be, you know, like you're in West Sydney, man. If you've got a 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m., around that time session, people have to factor in a 30-minute commute on a good day. You know, so if you can turn around to someone and go, hey, why aren't you doing any training? Oh, it takes me too long to get to the gym. It takes me too long to get to my coach. It takes me too long, yada, yada. Well, hang on a minute. Let's remove that. Let's completely take out the need to commute anywhere. Let's remove out any hassles about sitting in traffic and the stress related to it and all the rest of it, and go, you just need a 30 to 45 or 60-minute window. You just need a 2-meter square block around your person so you're not tripping over furniture or kids or toys or something. And you need, this basic amount of equipment, or just a kettlebell or bands or whatever it is that you need them at, boxing gloves. And they can get a great workout in a virtual group with other people doing the same. It's a great community, man. You've done a great job.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, that's on obviously the client's perspective. For us, like as trainers, as soon as I find other PTs out there, especially the ones that are sort of do their thing inside a gym, brick and mortar sort of setup, as soon as I mention to them that I'm mobile, the first thing they'll mention to me, oh, you spend so much time on the road traveling in between the clients. So to me, that's called dead time. That is obviously not the greatest part. But a way around that, just like this morning, I had my first session at 5:30 a.m. Straight from there, I had my next session probably at 6:30 a.m. to probably 8. They're all virtual Zoom sessions. So I just jumped straight into a local park, smashed them out, and I'm straight back into the next session that's in the same area of that sort of location. So definitely good ways around it as well, where you can just jump on, set it up, and away you go.
Yeah, good point. So you don't need to necessarily be at your location to still run a good Zoom virtual training session. As long as you've got internet and your phone and AirPods and a tripod, you can pretty much crush it anywhere. And for people who want that work-life balance as a personal trainer, how many PTs do you know that finish their morning sessions, and then they've got 3 hours, 4 hours of dead time before the arvo kicks in, and they procrastinate or they do this or they do that. There's people that would be training in that time slot if it was convenient for them. So this is a great way to fill those dead spots, so to speak. And as you're getting to the point now, you're at a stage now to bring on other personal trainers and send them the clients to be able to run them from Brisbane, West Australia, Victoria. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. That's sort of the vision that I've got. Sort of want to take over all of Australia, become a big personal training brand throughout Australia, and that's sort of where I'm heading, and that's definitely what I'm sort of envisioning to keep going forward.
So PTs listening to this that are independent PTs that are maybe working from a home gym or looking to do the in-house or one-to-one PTs, remote PT, all that sort of stuff. This is definitely something you guys should reach out to David, and we'll put the links in the show notes at the end and all this sort of stuff. But if this is resonating with you, if you're like, man, I'd love to do virtual coaching. I'd love to be in person and going to people's homes or meeting them in the park, or maybe they're coming to my personal setup. Man, you guys need to connect, because we've spent 2 years, and Dave, I've watched him build a system. There's other companies out there in Australia that have been doing this maybe a little longer, but they don't have the experience and they don't have the versatility, and they definitely aren't getting the same results that Dave's getting. So if you're interested in this kind of training, definitely want to reach out to David. Like I said, I'll put the links in at the end of the show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Many thanks for that.
Tell us about that growth. Now that we're on that at the moment, tell us about, you've put on a PT up in Brisbane. I know we've worked through a few trainers to try and figure out the best fit. And before we get into that, that's a good little segue, is that one of the best things about as a personal trainer, at some point you start to want to think about putting on other personal trainers. If you're succeeding to a point that you're running out of physical time to add more clients, but there's demand for your service, there's demand for your product, we start to think about, well, you know what, I'm going to have to bring on a personal trainer. Now, you've had a couple, and some of them have been great one way or another. There's been some great learning curves for both parties. Without getting too deep into it, because every experience, I believe, is a worthwhile experience. What's some of the challenges and some of the wins you took out of the process of building and looking for a personal trainer to work under your brand?
Yes, I definitely love that question, Chris, because I deal myself with a lot of business owners, and a lot of them sort of, for some reason, they're like, I don't want to offer my brand, my image, everything that I've built to someone else to go up there and completely fuck it up, and they're afraid of the Google reviews to come after them and to obviously tarnish their brand.
Yeah.
Which in a way is real, but also feel like, people are able to sort of pass through that and obviously, commit to someone else that's obviously out there that does have your own passion, that is able to obviously have your brand. We all follow this brand, the same brand, we're out there doing the same thing. So that's obviously the first step that I think a lot of people sort of need to take, is just sort of have that belief and trust in someone.
Yep.
I myself have had some really good experiences and some not so good experiences. But at the moment, it's going pretty well. So I do have it structured myself where I can take on contractors, where it's very easy, obviously, with the agreements and all that. Then the other side of that can also take on employees as well. So there's more involved for them. Obviously, the job security is a big part on pairing them both together.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome. I actually prefer that more than everything else that I do, is actually taking on young team PTs under me and just obviously building them up.
Giving them a pathway that you didn't have.
That too, yeah, definitely showing them that as well. So giving them something completely different to work how I started off.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
a
showing
big
them the right
reason
way.
why I do what I do as well, right? Is because, and I'm hoping a lot of PTs listening to this resonate with this, is how many times did you butt your head against a brick wall when you first started because you didn't have anyone to go to? You didn't know where to ask questions or who to ask questions. And fortunately and unfortunately at the same time, in 2022, there's lots of experts, there's lots of gurus, and there's lots of really savvy marketing out there of people willing to sell you a package or a course or whatever on how to succeed. But there's very few people that are in it because they genuinely want to get another PT over those hurdles and through those pitfalls and around those big challenges so that they come out the other side succeeding. And we've had this chat before. The more PTs that can make it and succeed, the greater impact we can actually have on the community in terms of generating fitter, healthier, stronger, better humans, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it is something that comes from moving the body. Like there is no shortcut at the end of the day. We need to move better to live better. And the more PTs out there succeeding to be able to deliver that out there to the community, then it's a win-win for everybody, right? So the model that you're working on to be able to bring up new PTs is valuable, man. And obviously now that you've got to a point where you can stretch it out across the country and start bringing on PTs from interstate to service. I mean, you do well with the lead gen too, dude. I mean, I don't want to give away your secrets, so we'll pull up stumps on some of that. But the way you've been doing it lately, you've got no shortage of inquiry. You've got no shortage of leads coming through, which is a big challenge for most PTs, right?
Yeah, I think that goes back to, again, it's different. People see that Goliath Performance. What is that? Who is that? So obviously, just having strong sales copy. I guess I'm naturally very, very sort of drawn to that myself.
Yep.
Putting the message out there, have it differently worded to what everyone else is doing. See what is working out there. I guess is a good way to start. But always just have your own sort of words, your own meaning behind that. They'll just draw in more people to obviously contact you to actually start working with you. But yeah, definitely. With a few points you mentioned there, Chris. So taking on the PTs and all that, like the value that we obviously provide. It's all done remotely, so it's all virtually as well. That's another part that we do, where we jump on as well weekly, and we try and get them on board as well with Chris, probably every month. And we just sort of smash out a few challenges that we're all sort of facing, so we're all sort of leveling up together.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the best part of it too. So yeah.
Absolutely. So again, for those that are listening and going, man, I like the sound of this. I wouldn't mind getting involved with David at Goliath. Look, it's something that I know you guys will get stacks of value out. It's not the model where it's a PT that's built to a point and wants to just, throw someone under and take the cream off top. You'd be in great hands with this. So look, where to from here, my man? Like Goliath Performance is growing. As you said, you've got a client now over in WA, which is a fair way from Sydney. You've got a PT on board now servicing the Brisbane region. What do you see the future of Goliath Performance like? Ultimately, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years from now? How does it look for you?
I definitely want to crush it, Chris. Yes, I just want to be the biggest personal training brands all around Australia, especially virtually. I really want to jump on that.
Yeah.
And just become, quite a dominant force.
Present.
Yeah, definitely that too. So have PTs at the moment. Western Sydney is what I'm sort of sticking to. I'm not even bothering with actual Sydney city.
Yep.
We do have Brisbane, looking at Melbourne, obviously, eventually. But for the moment, everything's just sort of, the wheels are spinning, and I'm just sort of enjoying everything that's happening at the moment. And just happy to connect with anyone else that obviously wants to reach out. That feels like, they would like to jump on board, or otherwise, be keen to chat. Yeah.
Where can they find you on social media? I know you got a couple of accounts. What's the best one for people to find you at?
So probably my personal one, garage_BB built. That's my personal one. Otherwise, just go to @Goliath Performance. I'm on there too. That'll be the best one.
You got a great website for a PT. Tell them what their website address is.
So the website, my website is actually pretty good. Built it myself. Again, I'm pretty hardcore on that. Spent a lot of time on it too. And the website is goliathperformance.com.au. That is the website.
It's a great website, and I've had the pleasure and the privilege of watching that come together over the last 2 years. And mate, yeah, when people talk about being self-made or self-built, you definitely embody that and have been putting in the hard work, mate. So like I said, it's been an absolute privilege having you on board the 51 Fit team. And again, it's one of these things that I genuinely enjoy watching the growth. And as I posted a couple of weeks ago, it's one of the hardest workers in the room for sure, and constantly looking to upskill and outsource and not outsource, sorry, upskill and grow. I mean, for those paying attention or whatever, Dave's also, he could be sitting back just doing sessions, but he's partnered up with a local gym brand, a gym equipment brand down there at West Sydney. He's going on site and doing like little seminars on how to make the most of your home gym equipment. And again, I'm not going to go into your secret sauce, but it's that hustle, it's that grind to provide value and really get out there. And, for a guy that does virtual training, in-home training, what better connection to make with a company that sells home gym equipment, right? It's a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't come up with these things. So yeah, it's a good sign, man. I can't wait to see the next, 2 years, let alone the next 5 years of Goliath Performance.
Absolutely, Chris. Yeah, thanks again. Definitely keen to keep growing. Obviously, with yourself on board,
Yeah.
it's been a big part of it. So yeah, so we're just going to obviously keep going forward, keep making those partnerships. That's what it's been about this year. So just reaching out to obviously other businesses, getting out there. Stop hiding behind the screen. I reckon that's a big one. I've probably fell into that probably the last few years. Just been so good and comfortable behind this screen.
Yeah.
Just actually getting out there, connecting with actual real people. Hello, my name is David from Goliath Performance, and just kicking it off that way. So it's been good.
That's a massive point, dude. I'm glad you raised it. It's massive. I mean, we are all in this virtual world, this online world of social media and emails and text messaging and all this sort of shit. One of the biggest takeaways I hope people take from this is in person, face to face, shaking hands, interacting with other humans is still by far and away one of the most impactful and powerful ways to establish, develop, and spread your brand in your local community. A lot of people are trying to make it big overseas or across the country or whatever, but guarantee you, man, each person listening to this, if they had 50 humans in their local suburb or community or town as clients, their financial world, their actual life would change significantly. So let's not ignore or neglect what's right in front of us. And again, as Dave said, I know for a fact, 2022 has been a massive year for him of going out, shaking hands, kissing babies, so to speak, to be part of that world and to let people know that who is the number one personal trainer in West Sydney. It's David Granata at Goliath Performance, and that's how it's got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely do stick to your strength as well. So my strength is over the phone. I see that number and I'm straight onto that phone. But getting out into another business with your own brand, your own image, just walking in, I reckon you just can't actually beat that itself. So definitely get out there and
it's just a great skill set too. Like it's one of those things, again, I talk about the develop discipline, earn confidence, achieve success. The more times you do things that make you uncomfortable to get a better result for your business, the stronger your business becomes. There's definitely no downside. It's uncomfortable. It's a bit awkward at times, but there is no downside to being a really great person-to-person communicator to establish those opportunities. Now, as you said, you're great on the phone and your sales copy speaks for itself and your results speak for themselves. Those in-person interactions lead to more of these, right? Whether directly or indirectly, it always seems to flow. So some good takeaways there for people as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Still obviously get yourself around each sort of avenue that you sort of want to reach out to, use them all. But yeah, I think that's definitely missing for most businesses these days, like the sales aspect, face to face. Yeah. But I don't know, you're not selling anything. You're just saying hello. I'm just a local PT in the area.
Expanding the brand, letting people know who you are. You can't sell a secret.
That's the last one. I remember you saying that one. That's definitely what I need to work on starting this year. So yeah.
Excellent, dude. Any last words for the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, if you want to reach out, please reach out to me. And thank you for listening for my story. And yeah, it's been good, Chris. Can't wait for powering through.
Awesome, my man. And I'll be in Sydney next week, Thursday, Friday. So let's try and tee up while I'm down there. We'll catch up at if you've got time to make it into Darling Harbour. They've fitness expo down there. Should be sweet. All right, my man. Thanks very much, my man. That's episode wrapped up. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Don't be used as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up.